I've got a question about dreams, because some kids had dreams about this incident right after. Even
Yes.
some adults who only heard about it from the kids would lay awake at night after this. What was going on there? Were they having nightmares?
Some were interpreting the event as scary and through negative fear-based beliefs. As a result of that, created what you would call perhaps nightmares in order to digest the information in their own way. But many of the intense dreams that were experienced by children after this event were the, well, let's say, ongoing downloading of the energetic information that was offered to them during the event itself. Because even though it may have seemed it only lasted 10 to 15 minutes, the actual encounter, the landing, and so forth, there was a type of energy bubble surrounding those who had this encounter. And a lot more data was exchanged than you would be capable of exchanging with one another in 10 to 15 minutes of your time if you would be focused in the physical dream reality entirely, in the low vibrational wavelength of that idea entirely, and had to express that information vocally. So the telepathic transmission that was offered, and information and energy and so forth that was offered, took up more time than was physically experienced by the children. This is why some of them have explained in their own childlike manner that it seemed as if time stood still, as if something really weird was going on while they were close to the ship. This exchange was a very strong harmonizing of the vibrational energy of the beings with the children, including the passing of that message, like we said, the offering of that message, like we said. And in your dream time, when you quote unquote return with your focus to your higher vibrational self and allow yourself to multidimensionally integrate whatever higher vibrational information may still be relevant for you, and allow it to integrate into also the idea of your physical body, cellularly, and so forth. This may lead to for some people, euphoric, for other people, frightening dreams. But in all cases, you may find that there was a different quality to the dream, the nature of the dreams, very often for people, child and or adult, who have had a genuine, what you call UFO encounter. Because with these encounters is always some type of energy exchange involved that for most of you afterwards still needs deeper integration. This may take several nights. For some people, it may take years.
Yeah.
And those that just heard about the events and started noticing themselves having restless nights as well, had been either in contact with these children and so in the, you could say, proximity of their now adjusted energy fields, and were touched by that and felt they had to integrate that information. So indirectly, same information, but integrated in their own way. Or they too had a soul cross connection to the same beings and recognized that in the children and started to process that in their dreams, because there was a recall, there was a memory that they couldn't rationally fully understand. And now in their dreams, they were invited to wrap their minds around it. Sometimes this happens by playing out a worst case scenario so that the rational mind has seen it play out on a screen, quote unquote, the screen of the dream. A nightmare, in that sense, functions as a placeholder of a negative belief. Whatever you're most afraid of, when you've seen it, you're in a sense offering yourself a choice. Is this what you truly want or not? And if you say no, you're in a sense very simply allowing yourself to have processed it in a quote unquote safe space because it was in a higher dimensional wavelength, in the dream world, in the blueprint level of reality. So it doesn't have to manifest or crystallize into the physical dream. And you don't have to go physically through it. A lot of your nightmares have that function built in. It's a playing out of what you are most often subconsciously afraid might possibly happen. And by playing it out, you get it out of your system.
Yeah. Thank you. So the last question, the children had been psychologically examined by Pulitzer Prize winning Harvard professor John.E.Mack, who believed they were all speaking the truth. Professor Mack seemed to play a significant role in these days, bringing the idea of ET contact experiences to the attention of the mainstream, though facing much critique. Is there anything you would like to say about his role in this particular incident and his role in general?
All right. Oh, thank you. Well, his role in this incident is connected to his role in general. His role in general was his deeper intuitive understanding of your innate connection to your greater multidimensional selves and all the aspects that may be connected to that, including interstellar cross connections. He intuitively understood that when encountering people who had such contact experiences, that they weren't just making it up. And he allowed his inner knowing, his higher self, to guide him in his research. And so he applied what you would understand to be scientifically proven methods on people that he intuitively understood were speaking the truth, instead of simply declaring them insane, for instance.
Yeah.
This allowed for that topic to be lightened up, to be brought to a higher vibrational wavelength. It allowed a lot of people to feel heard. Again, here's your Ariel theme yet again. And also it allowed for a lot of people to understand, or to choose to understand, if they wished to, within themselves, that the energy vibration that he was emanating by following his higher knowing was something that they could choose to harmonize with within themselves as well. And this is very much a journey about mankind finding each other in an unconditionally loving way, realizing that all voices count, that you in fact hold gold in your hands if you allow yourself to listen to those that perhaps previously have been declared insane right away because their stories seem to be so far-fetched. Where you are right now in your time-space reality, you are at a tipping point where this may become a lot more relevant in the years to follow, because the subject of extraterrestrial contact is now surfacing so much more in your mainstream media. All of those people who are holding very relevant puzzle pieces in one way or another that still walk your earth and have for many, many, many decennia, now perhaps feel more free to speak about that. And let's say more relevant, the collective may be more open-hearted and more open-minded to listen to that information, because you already have all the answers to your most poignant questions in you. There are enough of you that have had multidimensional and interdimensional interactions for you to bring all the puzzle pieces together and understand what has actually been going on there. And by listening to this with real attention, as did your Professor John.E.Mack, you allow yourselves as listeners, if this resonates with you, if this has your excitement, to come to a realization level that he had already gotten to in himself. We would say that in connection to this specific incident with the Ariel school, obviously, he was also in his soul theme facing a similar invitation to allow himself to speak freely of what he understood to be true for him. That was a theme that he was playing with as well, that he was exploring as well in his community, where he was much ridiculed and criticized indeed. And we would like to reflect back to you that the way he spoke to the children, or with the children, that the questions he asked and the way he approached this situation is an absolutely wonderful example of how you may choose to approach others who have been through similar experiences themselves. It testifies, it shows what communication also can look like.
Yeah.
It shows the love, it shows the involvement, it shows not just an open-mindedness, but an open-heartedness, a true level of respect and interconnectedness from human to human. And conversations with children can be truly enlightening when adults understand that this is how you can also choose to communicate, and when they allow themselves to rediscover their own inner child and speak from that vibration yet again, only now, including all the other bits and pieces of information that they've learned along the way, whilst leaving out the negative judgment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got one more question myself.
Yes.
How do the Greys look back on this encounter, and what did they have to report back to their, I don't know, government or something? What did they report back? Were they happy about how this went?
Yes. Happy to the degree that they were capable of feeling happy.
Yeah.
It was understood to be quote unquote successful, if that is what you're asking.
And why was it successful for them?
Well, understand it wasn't just depending on the incident itself, but also, like we said before, the children were being monitored into their adult lives and still are.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, looking at the reports of that encounter and how it has been received, it was successful at the time, but actually with the release of this recent documentary and the opening up of your collective to the topic in general, more openly, the success is more measurable now.
Yeah.
If you understand what we mean. But there is no failing in general either.
No.
It is always perfect. It was what it was. There is no judgmental label connected to it. But if you're looking at the overcoming of the fear of the speaking, the Ariel theme, if you wish, that is connected to it, it was successful then because they understood these kids have been offered a perfect reason to dive deep into that exploration in their own lives. And many have done, in fact, really, really well, even though some have chosen to never speak of it again. They have managed themselves, their energies, in such a way. They often even subconsciously still did use the information that they were offered in this encounter, even though they didn't refer to the encounter directly. And in that sense, it was absolutely successful. They can see how the energy has traveled far and wide. But if you come to the specific theme of truly opening up, then this documentary and any other attention that is being given to any such type of encounters is accelerating the success factor, looking at it from your point of view, to a great degree. Do you understand? Does that help?
Yeah.
All right.
And is there anything more you want to elaborate on, or you want to tell us about this, or I'm done with my questions? Is there anything else you want to say?
Oh, thank you. Just perhaps shortly, that this was the planting of a seed, and that you as a species get to choose whether you wish to water it or not. It is and always will be in your hands where you choose to take this. We do not ask of you to believe this incident or even anything that we choose to share with you through this channel to be true. We invite all of you to find the truth within yourselves, because it is there. And that is the real invitation, to allow yourselves to get to know yourselves to such a deep degree that you do not feel depending on others to tell you how things ought to be. And this is very much the message that also came symbolically from the idea of the Atlantean culture and the overlap that it energetically has with where you are today. You are being sent inward to make a deep dive within yourselves, find the truth and resurface as a new being, speaking your truth, your inner wisdom, your alignment, which is unconditionally loving by nature. And this is how we see all of you already, individually and collectively. We thank you for your attention.
Thank you.